Hey babe, welcome back. I'm your host, Kayla Hodges. Today we have a really special episode. I'm going to show you how to not cause sales objections to ever happen again. Yes, saying this right. And maybe you, like me, were really trained on heavy objection handling, and a lot of it just simply was not working. So I'm going to show you how to prevent objections from happening in the first place, the toxic habits that you're doing that are causing these sales objections, and how to get rid of them so that your prospect wants to buy from you and feels that urgency to buy from you right now versus pushing it off till way later. Let's make more money. Let's close more deals. I will see you inside the episode. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, Closing Deals in Heels. This is your weekly big sister advice on mastering influence, embracing your femininity, and handling any challenge that life throws your way. So it's Saturday morning. It's like 7:30 in the morning, and we're doing this podcast. I'm in this amazing, little, comfy sweater thing that I got skiing, and I wear jackets all the time. I think that I'm always habitually cold, and even in Miami right now, it's like in the low 70s and it's freezing outside. So, pardon me if you're coming from another place in the world that's way colder. I have no idea how you do it. The strength that you bear inside of you, I have no idea, because I'm habitually cold. And this is from literally a ski store, and like just sitting in my little cozy sweater right now. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about something that's so important, and I want to help you, babe, because I think that so many of us believe the lie that sales objections are a thing. Like, I remember when I very first started in sales, and I started in sales training because I was really, really bad in sales, okay? Like, I sucked so horribly. I sweated so profusely. It was disgusting. And I consistently wanted to learn, wanted to get better because I was so afraid of going back into being a waitress, and I didn't want to do that again. So I had these flashcards, okay? And these flashcards had the objection and had what to say on the back of the objection. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the lie that's happening right now. So don't believe this lie, because this is really going to mess you up. If you believe that there is one phrase that you can say that logistically would handle somebody's objection, whoever taught you that does not understand sales. And I'm being really careful with this because I'm trying not to upset anybody. And it's okay if you learn something like this. It's just simply not true, because it's just not the way that the brain works, okay? Like, can you think about, if you had a belief about something and your man was trying to tell you that you were wrong and was giving you a logical answer as to why you were wrong, I don't know if you would necessarily be like, oh, okay, then just change your mind. Like, let's say that you were like, man, I don't want to, um, let's say that you were trying to lose weight, and you're like, hey, I need to cut out sugar. And they were like, well, if you only had this, it wouldn't be that really big of a deal. And you knew for absolute certainty that it would be a big deal, but they were trying to convince you otherwise. I don't know necessarily if you would pick that up and put that on. Maybe that's a bad example, but I'm going to give you the sales example so that maybe this can work really well. Let's say I need to think about an objection. My flashcards for I need to think about objection was, of course you need to think about it. I want you to think about a blue elephant right now. I want you to think about a race car right now. Can you picture that in your mind? Well, of course, because thought is instantaneous. You don't need to think, you need to make a decision. And then I had this closer book that had all these different one-line closers in it of how to get somebody to buy. Please stop the madness, okay? Because that is not how to convince anybody or persuade anybody. No one is convinced or persuaded with a one-line thing that's going to get them to buy from you magically. That is such rubbish. It is such rubbish. We're going to get rid of that lie altogether today. And I'm going to show you how to overcome objections, because objections shouldn't happen in a sales call. Okay, that's the truth. This prospect didn't wake up today and say, when I get on a call, or when this person knocks on my door, or when I meet this person in public or at this meeting, I'm going to tell them I need to think about it. I'm going to tell them that I need to talk to my wife. I'm going to tell them, no. That didn't happen. Something inside that conversation caused uncertainty. And now this prospect doesn't feel Like you can give them the result that they're looking for, or like this product or service can give them the result that they're looking for, or they're doubting themselves. Something is happening that's causing uncertainty in the brain, and therefore they do not buy. And so if you spend all your time practicing objection handling for objections that you caused, is it like that's the definition of insanity. Can you imagine like you are cutting somebody and you spend all your time on putting band-aids on people, but you're still cutting them? Like, how are you helping it? How are you fixing it? No, 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 no. The best people in sales, the 1% of people, the top 1% of salespeople don't get objections. Why? Because they know how to prevent objections from happening. And there are some toxic habits that you are doing all the time that are causing objections to happen. I want sales to be so easy for you. I want you to not have to get objections at all. Like, what if we just didn't get a sales objections ever again? Wouldn't that be so amazing, so great? How do we get there? By you being at a place where you know how to prevent objections in someone's brain from happening, and you can pick up on little red flags that they're saying inside of a sales conversation and know how to get them to think a different way and have a different perspective so they don't have objections at the end. This would be really important. And if you can learn how to do this, you are going to sell so much more and work far less, because objection handling can be emotionally and energetically draining. And you don't need that. You want life to be easy and simple and for it to flow. And I want you to be able to make so much money and have to work a whole lot less. Yes? So let's get into this. What would cause somebody to feel uncertainty from you? Here's some toxic habits that you might be doing that simply just don't help you. Number one, your body language, okay? Your body language is super vital, super important. You'd be surprised at how many people, like I review thousands of sales calls, okay? I review sales calls every single week for my team, for my clients, from so many different industries, okay? From like huge enterprise companies all the way down to, just like a high ticket sales job. Like I review all these different type of sales calls, cold calls, outbound dials, meetings, group meetings. I review it all. And there are certain patterns that I see that cause people not to buy. And one of them is your body language. And I say body language very specifically because even though somebody might not be able to see you, let's say you're doing an outbound dial or a cold call, your body language is still vital because your body language and your facial expressions are connected to your tonality. And your tonality is the biggest thing to learn if you want somebody to buy from you. Because tonality, your body language, your facial expressions are like a knob, like a volume knob, right? To go up, to go down. It's like a knob, a dial for the warmth of your tone, for how it gets received. If you look at like a Disney movie and a cartoon Disney movie and you watch actors behind the scenes, I do this in my free time. Okay, I nerd out on this stuff where I will watch an actor behind the scenes and I'll watch him and I'll watch like what he's doing or what she's doing. And I watch their body language, and they're very expressive when they're trying to utilize their voice when somebody can't even see them because it's a cartoon. But why is it that they're moving their arms or they're moving their face? It's because it's affecting the emotions that the audience feels through the cartoon. If I say something like, even like the words like bow down, bow before me. I saw this in an example where this lady was pretending to be like the evil queen and she was doing this bow before me, bow before me, bow before me, and like doing all these different ones, and they all have these different emotional forms. Bow before me, ha 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 ha, right? She had like all these different ones and they all had different emotions depending on what she was doing with her hands and her voice. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And actors and actresses learn this, learn tonality, learn how to use their voice, learn how to smile when they say something and frown when they say something else, because it releases different emotions in the audience's brain, which will get you to lean in to this movie and get higher reviews. The more emotional I can make this movie, the more people are going to want to watch it. The more people are going to cry and be in there, and they're going to have a memory, and it's going to be impactful. Because if you have a strong emotion, you will remember something. Like, think about, I don't know if you were, how old you were during this time, but 9/11. 9/11, I was in 3rd grade, and I remember it so vividly. Why? Because it was a very emotional day. There was emotions in that day. You remember it. You remember very specific moments in your life because there were emotions that are attached to it. So movie producers are trying to produce lots of emotions for you so that you remember the movie. Yes? And so it's really important in a conversation with somebody that you are talking to them that gets them in an emotional state, in a way that gets them into an emotional state. Why? Because people buy with emotion and they justify with logic. You want somebody to be in an emotional state. If somebody had the emotional part of their brain damaged, they wouldn't even be able to tie their shoes. They wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom. So you have to get somebody in their emotions because people buy with emotions. Yes? So it's really important that you know how to utilize your tonality and you know how to lean in and you know how to use your body language so where somebody feels open to you and receptive to you. And we're utilizing different parts of our tone to get people to really lean in and get them into their emotions. Yes? So depending on you, right? Like, because I don't know, I don't know how you sound, obviously, because I'm on the other side of this audio, other side of this video. You probably have one tonality that you stay in. I talk to women all the time. I have women clients all the time from all around the world. And sometimes I'll see 2 different women. One that is almost too bold. She's really, really powerful, right? I love really powerful women. However, sometimes they can come across as really intimidating, especially if you're talking to someone on the other end of the call, other end of the Zoom, other end of the table that is more soft or that is less confident. If you come in really strong, they're going to pull back. Or I talk to other women that have the opposite problem. They're really caring, really loving, really soft, and then they don't use their voice and they don't challenge the prospect into a different way of thinking. You have to learn how to do it all. Okay. If you are really powerful, learning how to be in your softness. If you're soft, learning how to use your voice. And some of that has connected to trauma and mindset, which you can definitely go through. Some of our other podcasts on here are really helping you kind of break through some of that stuff so that you can be more powerful or so that you can be more soft and you feel safe. But it's important that you learn how to diversify yourself and learn how to utilize different tones because different tonalities affect different emotions. And we need to go into multiple different emotions in a sales conversation in order for somebody to feel all this internal tension to want to buy from you. So the toxic trait that you possibly are doing, the habit that you're doing, is that you're using one tone or that you don't know how to drop into a different tone or utilize a different part of your tonality in order to get through to somebody. Yes, your tonality can affect this, your cadence. Maybe you talk really, really fast. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely guilty of being a fast talker. I talk very quickly. Sometimes in a sales conversation, I feel like I'm walking through water. It is so annoying sometimes to me because it feels like it's taken a long time and my brain works faster than my words sometimes, than my mouth. And sometimes there's a lot that comes out of my mouth at once because my brain just thinks about so many different things and it goes so quickly, right? Which is a good reframe for myself because I used to give myself a really hard time on speaking correctly. And I just realized my brain's really, really smart. And so sometimes it goes way faster than it needs to be. You got to slow down. You have to learn how to intentionally talk in such a way to where somebody really wants to listen to you. Think about really great speakers over time. Martin Luther King, right? Barack Obama, Tony Robbins. You have people that speak in a very specific way and use very intentional pauses so that you are emotionally connected to what they're saying, right? Like Martin Luther King, like, I had a dream today that one day, right? He didn't say, I had a dream today, that one day, like he didn't go really fast. He was very slow and intentional with his pausing because it helps you lean in. And so you have to utilize this stuff inside of sales conversations in order for people to want to talk to you. Another thing is that a toxic trait that you might be doing is going from question to question, utilizing the, yeah, awesome, great, perfect, love that. Okay. If you're guilty of this, it's okay. I used to do it too, but you can't do that in a sales conversation. Why? Because people hate salespeople. Okay. And if you sound like a salesperson trying to sell somebody something, they're going to immediately feel resistance in their body because they probably have sales trauma. What is sales trauma? It's when you've had a bad experience with a salesperson. Okay. And if you've had a bad experience with a salesperson, please drop that in the comments below. I've had horrible experiences with salespeople. I remember one time being in a mall in Vegas, and this guy is trying to sell me this $500 eye cream and telling me that I had bags underneath my eyes, which I've had my bags liposuctioned out underneath my eyes. So it's obviously not there. I paid for that because I had really genetically bad baggy eyes. And in school as a child, they always asked me if I was sleeping. So I knew I didn't have bags underneath my eyes because I literally don't have any fat there because I got it liposuction out. And this guy was trying to convince me that I had bags and trying to get me to buy this $500 eye cream when I wasn't even interested. I didn't even need that. But I would have bought something else because this guy was so persistent and trying to convince me and persuade me and try to tell me that there was something wrong. I had so much resistance in my body. I don't know if anyone else has had a bad experience like this. But if you sound like a salesperson or you sound like you're in your best interest and not your prospect's best interests, they're going to feel resistance towards you. So we have to make sure that we don't sound like that. And we have to make sure that we're being aware of our prospect and our needs and how we're coming across so that we can come across in a positive way. And going back to watching so many different sales conversations from all around the world, I've seen women in large enterprise companies be on a Zoom and literally, I don't know how I can get close to this camera. Can I get close to this camera? Like, can it, can it be like this, coming up like this, and you just see this? But this is how you look. You're like up the nose, like right here, and this is all you see on this camera. Like, please stop the madness. If you're a large enterprise company, you cannot look like that on a sales conversation. This person needs to see this much of you, okay? They need to see your hands. Why? Because your hands right here between your belly button and your boobs, okay, this is the trust plane. They need to be able to see this area and see your hands to feel like they can trust you. Back in old caveman days, people would see other people and they immediately look at their hands to see if there is a weapon in their hands. And in fact, let's say I'm doing this podcast, if I put my hands behind my back and I'm talking to you the whole entire time, part of you subconsciously is going to start to feel like something's wrong. Why? Because you don't see my hands. We need to have open body language and talk to people. Now, when you're talking to women, you want to be open-faced and be right here fully open because it says, I trust you. If you're talking to a man, you want to be a little bit at a 45-degree angle, which is a completely different episode. I think that is one of the second or third episodes I ever did on this. But it's really important that you're not facing your lady parts to a guy because it says, I'm available and I want you. Okay. That's a completely different topic. Body language is important, okay? Your cadence is important. Your tonality is important. Your pausing is very, very important. So let's put all that aside, which all that is learned through time. That is a skill you have to develop. And we train our women in this all the time. If you're wanting to learn how to do this, just message me and DM me. I'll put you on a call with somebody on my team. We can listen to you, role play with you, and see if you need help in this area, okay? Now, how do I find out if somebody has an objection in the call and they're not even telling me? Objection prevention is you having a willingness to kind of see patterns that are not working. What do I mean by patterns? Everyone in the world has a frame or a perspective. A frame is how somebody perceives the world. It's their perspective of the world. So this frame, this perspective has been created over time from this person's past and this person's experiences. Typically, it's also shaped as a child of how they see things. And what you'll see is that people have patterns of behaving, patterns of being, patterns of thinking. And most people are very consistent in who they are, right? Actions speak louder than words. Who they are and how they make decisions, it's typically very similar because people don't like change. All humans really don't like to change at all. And all sales is change. So you have to really understand that it's my job, it's my responsibility to get this person to change the way they typically make decisions and change their perspective, which is not the easiest thing to do if you don't have the right skills, okay? It's gonna be really, really simple. However, you just have to learn how to do this. And the best part is that you as a woman naturally can pick up on this.
Hey, beautiful, just want to take one little second of your time to interrupt this podcast. First of all, I just want to honor you for showing up for yourself. Like, thank you so much for watching and for listening. Like, you have no idea how much it means to me. If you can just take just 1 second of your time, a little favor, and please hit the subscribe button. Please leave a review, comment on this, and share it to another woman that you know. We as women get to really stand and honor each other, and we do that by lighting fires at others' hearts. Sometimes a woman just needs to know that you believe in her and that she's capable, so please send this to her. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking that out of your time and doing that for us. You have no idea how much it helps and how much it helps us bring a really amazing guest on this show and get it out to more and more people. So thank you again. I will see you back in the show.
Okay. Women that have had trust issues can be really, really good in sales. Okay. I know that you have a secret FBI agent inside of you. I know that you can find anything if you really want to, right? Another thing that you can do really well is that you can find out if something's wrong, right? You can feel it, that intuition, there's something off, there's something wrong. And in a sales conversation, you are just trying to find out what's wrong. You have to be a really, really good problem finder. And most people, unfortunately, they have no idea that there's a problem even to begin with. They don't realize it. That's why most people are in a really bad relationship they don't like, or they don't like their body, or they don't like their job. There's something that they don't like that they do every single day. Why? Because humans don't like change and they don't like uncomfortability. So they just endure it and deal with it and live in it. I always talk about like the pimple popper show and that old like 72-year lady that had this huge nasty pimple on her neck. And for some reason, the TikTok algorithm has brought up so many different pimple popper things over the past few days. I've been watching them. This guy had like some weird growth on his shoulder that's been there for 20 years. I'm so sorry, but if you have a growth, why would it be there for 20 years? That's so crazy. Anyways, so the reason why they come in is because somebody starts asking questions about it. The 72-year-old lady had this thing on her neck for like 17 to 19 years, and she didn't do anything about it until her grandson started asking her some very pointed questions. What is that? Why has it been there? Grandma, how long has that been there? What is that? And it started making her feel uncomfortable, so much so to where she had a willingness to change it, do something about it, which is your job as a salesperson, is to ask pointed questions to make this person realize that their problem is way bigger than what they thought it was and that it's affecting them and their life in a negative way or their company in a negative way. And women, we're really good at finding problems. We know that there's something there and we will ask very pointed questions and we will find it. So utilize this skill in a healthy way. Don't utilize this in your relationships. You questioning your man and interrogating him is probably really, really horrible, and that's a completely different subject. But utilize this skill in sales in a very healthy way. Try to find a problem. Try to find something there. And the only way I can ask for a problem and insinuate that there's something wrong is utilizing doubt. Doubt is really important. And so as I'm asking questions and I'm insinuating doubt, I'm looking for patterns of thought, patterns of decisions, frames, perspectives that do not serve this person. And if I can find those in the call and I can reframe them or give them a different perspective, they're not going to have an objection at the end of the call regarding that. Yes? This is where I pre-handle objections. You can pre-handle a spousal objection, pre-handle a red flag of, and let's name some red flags. Number one, like, I typically figure this out by myself. Or, hey, we worked with a lot of other people before. If they worked with a lot of other people before, maybe they have trust issues with working with somebody new. Another red flag that maybe would come up is like, let's say that they haven't made a decision to fix this and they've been dealing with this for 3 years. I'm like, what's prevented them from trying to do something new? What's prevented them from fixing this? And I'm looking for patterns of behavior that doesn't serve somebody. Now, inside of red stands for real, empowering, disarming questions. It's our methodology, really showing women how to do this in a feminine way that's backed in science and helps prospects release chemicals in their brain so that they want to change, all based in integrity. And red, there's this beautiful section called past awareness, which is where I start asking them about what they've done in the past to try to solve the problem that I helped them find. And I listen for ways of behaving or thought patterns that don't really serve this person. So let's say I was selling fitness and I was saying before today, like, have you reached out to any experts to really help you, learn how to work out and eat healthy so that you can lose the 20 pounds like you're wanting? And this person tells me, well, yeah, I've worked with 8 different trainers and they really haven't been able to help me. I'm like, that way of thinking probably isn't the truth. Okay. How is it that this person has worked with 8 different people, yet somehow they haven't gotten results? I need to start asking them, because what's going to happen? This person is probably going to think, well, you're not going to be able to get results either because I have 8 people showing me evidence that I can't get results. So therefore, I'm going to have uncertainty from buying from you. Therefore, I'm going to give you an objection and probably not buy. I have to handle this in the middle of the call. If I get to the end of the call, they already have like more walls up because we're talking about price. So I need to do this while their walls are down, while they're more disarmed, and have a conversation with them about how they've been showing up so that they'd be willing to do something new and have a new perspective. So if they've been telling me the 8 different trainers and they haven't really got results, I'm going to start asking. I'm like, oh, like, when's the last time you worked with somebody? How long did you typically work with each person? What happened? Now, with each trainer, is there anyone else that they were working with that got results? Yes. Well, Sally, like, what caused you to not have the same success? Notice my tone, my pausing. What would cause you not to have the same success? I need this person to take responsibility. So let's say they say, well, sometimes I was tired and I want to make it to the gym, or I really did all these cheat meals and I never really told them. And now I need them to change their behavior, so I have to challenge the behavior. And this is where women fall short. Another toxic habit that you probably do is not having big sister energy in sales calls. You have to challenge behavior that doesn't serve someone, because sales is about service. Sales is about this person being able to solve their problem. And they can't solve their problem if they do not buy from you. Yes? So you have to challenge their way of thinking so that they would want to fix the problem. And if you are scared to challenge somebody, that might be trauma within yourself. It might be you doubting yourself, which is why it's really important that you're working on you internally. That's why we do trauma work at the same time as we do sales training with all of our clients, because you got to work on you and feel the absolute best version of you and be able to influence yourself so that you can influence somebody else. You challenging someone, you holding somebody to a higher standard, you loving them enough and caring about them enough to where you're like, hey, this isn't working for you anymore. Do you want to change? Is what sales is all about. You have to be willing to do that. And if you can't do that for yourself, that's why it's hard for you to do that for other people right now. So if I'm calling you out, I'm calling you forth, like, you might need to learn how to step into your big sister energy, right? Why is it that we'd be willing to have a tough conversation with a loved one or our kids, but we're not having those conversations in business? Okay. You got to be willing to have these conversations in business and in sales so that this person be willing to buy from you. Yeah. Another toxic trait that you can be doing, which is the opposite of this, is coaching somebody. You don't coach somebody in the middle of a sales call. Stop talking. Ask questions. Stop talking. You coaching somebody and telling them your experience. Oh my God, that's another one. Don't talk about yourself on a sales call. Dear God, please stop talking about yourself. This sale is not about you. It's about the person in front of you. We're going to go back to this challenge in a minute, but you cannot talk about yourself on a call. You telling somebody, oh, that happened to me, and you being relatable and building rapport is not building rapport. Please stop the madness. The sales conversation is about your prospect. Yes? So if I'm talking to somebody and I'm trying to get them to take responsibility and I'm challenging them to have a new perspective, I have to get this person to tell me that I want to change. I want to be different. If they don't tell me that and they don't tell me why, this person is going to give you resistance. This person is going to give you uncertainty. This person is going to give you an objection. They're probably not going to buy from you. Okay. So I'm listening for a pattern that doesn't work. I'm challenging the pattern, right? I'm asking good questions. Yes. So what would cause you not to have the same success? They tell me, well, I didn't show up. I didn't really eat any healthy meals. I would cheat on my meals every weekend. I felt really bad. And then I'm going to challenge the behavior. So help me understand what would make it different this time. Why is it different now? Well, recently I just, had a father that passed away due to, not being healthy, and it just shook something up inside of me and I need to do something now. Okay, that sounds like a good answer, but I need more. There's layers to everything. Like, can I ask, like, besides your father passing, like, why that's so important to you now, though? Whenever I ask the question why, this person is going to defend themselves on why. So I need to ask that question when somebody tells me something that I want to hear, not when I don't want to hear something. If somebody's giving me an excuse and they're like, well, I really just don't have the time for that right now, and I say why, they're going to defend themselves on why they don't have the time. I don't want to say that. But if somebody says, yeah, I really need to change or I really need to do this now, I want to say why, because I want them to persuade themselves. That's how sales is simple and sales is easy. You get your prospect to do all the work. You don't got to do all the work. Why is that so important to you now, though? And now they're defending themselves and they're persuading themselves on why it's important to them right now, which is amazing. You want them to do this, okay? And then I can still challenge and still sit here. I'm like, do you understand that's going to be really uncomfortable? Do you understand that this is going to be one of the hardest things that you've had to do? Do you understand that maybe you'll have to do something a little bit differently than you've done before? Are you sure that you really want this? The future version of you, the one that has X, Y, and Z, like they need you right now, right? Now, if I'm talking to a large enterprise company, maybe I wouldn't say that, but maybe I'll question them. I'm like, do you understand that the way that you've been running this department is going to have to change? Why is that so important to you? What if you get pushback? What are you going to do at that point? And I'm getting them to challenge themselves. I need this person to say, I want to do this, and this is the reason why. As soon as I get that buy-in from them, that perspective shift, and I find any type of red flags that are not working, like what if they're like, hey, I've been looking into this for years, but I haven't done anything, right? Red flag. Well, what's preventing you from doing that in the past? Well, I've been scared and I've been this and I've been that. I'm like, well, what would make it different now? Because this, and this. Well, why? Besides that, why else? And I'm getting them to persuade themselves on why they need to change. It's so beautiful. And you're doing this in the middle of the call. That's why you're not going to get so many objections at the end of the call. Yes? And then from there, I ask them about what it would be like once their problem is solved. This is called future awareness. Once I have a prospect envision what their problem would be like once it's solved, and they start imagining it and seeing it, there's like all this serotonin, oxytocin that's released in their brain, dopamine hits, and they feel like a future memory that hasn't even happened yet. And from there, I take it away. I ask them what's going to happen if nothing changes. I go into ramification questions, and they start feeling cortisol being released in their body because they're imagining future pain. The only way I can get somebody to change is pain from their current situation and future pain if they don't do anything. And when I bring this to their attention, they see it and they feel it, they're going to feel internal tension on their body, not pressure, not manipulation, not you trying to force your ideas on someone. No, you're just asking the questions about them. Sales is not about you, it's about them. And from there, they're going to feel all this in their body. They're going to want to do something about it. And once I have that, then I go into the next part, which is you transitioning into your presentation or transitioning into a second call. And this is another toxic habit that maybe you do. Maybe you go into your presentation and you sound so freaking awkward, or you don't make any sense. I've had so many sales call reviews and I listen to somebody's presentation and I have no idea what they mean. You should be able to explain something and a 10-year-old should understand what you mean, even if it's a large enterprise company. It should be very, very simple, not a lot of words, okay? Explain it very, very quickly. If there's a lot of stuff that you want to go into, then ask like, hey, are you with me on that so far? Do you understand? There should not be any long-winded presentations. It is such a lie and a myth. If you have a presentation that's longer than 5% of your sales call, you are stuck in old school sales. That comes from the 70s and 80s, where books like Spin Selling and stuff came out, where they had a few logical questions. You go into a long-winded presentation, and then you go into objection handling. And the reason why that doesn't work is because people don't buy with logic. They buy with emotion. So you're literally like working way harder than you need to. Your sales presentation should be 5% of your sales conversation. It should be mostly about your prospect, asking them questions, getting them to realize that what they're doing right now, if they don't change, it would be far more risky than it would be if they buy your product or service so they can solve their problem. That's how they should feel. How are they going to feel that if you're just talking the whole entire time about your product or service? No one freaking cares about your leadership in your company, about the building that it has, about how long you've been there, and about how you have this great rating on Google. Like, no one freaking cares. Okay? They care about themselves. Humans care about yourself. That's what it is. So you have to make sure that this person feels like you are there for them. And how do they feel like you understand them better than anybody else? By you asking them questions and by you learning how to understand them. By like you getting in your prospect's shoes. You understand their situation better than anyone else because you understand how they feel, what makes them feel bad, what they really want, but you're unwilling to buy the story. Okay? This is the secret. This is the magic sauce. You cannot buy your prospect's story. Whatever story, whatever limiting belief that's holding them back. Them telling you, it's out of my budget, I don't have the time right now, I need to talk to somebody, blah, blah, blah. It's all complete bullshit. Why? Because if they really felt that your product, your service would absolutely solve their needs, their problem with 100% certainty, they would be resourceful enough to figure it out. Like, think about like if a kid was sick and like you need 30 grand for a surgery and you don't have it, you're going to fundraise, you're going to find money, you're going to do anything, whatever it takes to save your kid's life. So you buying whatever story that they tell you and be like, oh, they really just don't have funds, they really just don't have the time. Like, it's not the truth. And the only reason why they're saying that is because you are causing uncertainty in their brain. And I know it's really hard to like or take responsibility for, but it's the truth. We have to get this person to really feel emotional about buying from you and really feel like you're going to help solve that problem. And it's your job to make that problem come up to the surface so that they want to solve it and hold that space for them and be there for them. Yes. Sales is so beautiful. I love the science behind it. I love the brain. I love what it's doing. I love how you have the ability to influence and persuade anybody, but you have to be unwilling to listen to whatever story is holding them back. And here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Have you ever heard that you are the objection that your prospect gives? If your prospect says it's too much money and you believe on a subconscious level that it's too much money, you're going to accept the objection. If they say it's too much time, I don't have enough time, and you also believe that they're not going to have enough time, you are going to believe the objection. Let's say you don't have enough time. Let's say that they say that they need to talk to their spouse and you believe you also need to talk to your spouse, you're going to believe the objection. For example, if it's the opposite, let's say that they say, hey, I can't buy this from you because I'm the color blue. And you're looking at them and they're obviously not blue. You want to be like, oh, okay, just get back to me when you know if you're not blue or not. Like, no, you look at them like, what the heck are you talking about? And that's why working on yourself is the most important thing. How the hell would you influence and persuade someone else if you cannot influence and persuade yourself? You have to be so good with you to where you don't buy into whatever objection they're given to you because you've healed and you don't have those objections anymore. You are committed to transformation. You are not a guesser, a wannabe, a know-it-all. You are so committed to transformation that you want to become the absolute best version of yourself, that you want to be all that you can be. Right? Being the guesser, being like, oh, I'm gonna guess and hope I'm gonna figure it out, pray they'll work out, taking no responsibility. The wannabe, which is where most saleswomen are, where they watch a podcast or they watch a basic reel, they watch a YouTube, but they really don't commit to train every day. And it takes them years to figure it out, if they ever. Or the know-it-all, the one that had 6 figures or high 6 figures and she stops learning. Maybe she did personal development 5 years ago, but she really doesn't think that she needs to heal or grow anymore. Or the ones that are committed to transformation. They figure it out. They're willing to go and be all that they can be and be the top 1%. They learn, they train every day, they grow every day, they become more every single day. When you are in that level, when you are committed to transformation, it doesn't matter what anybody says to you because you're not going to buy their story. You're not going to buy whatever is holding them back. And you're not going to be able to recognize that if you are believing stories. If you think that you're blue too, you're like, oh, obviously they're blue. I hope that makes sense. So work on yourself. Train every single day. train every single day. We have 6 different training programs, right? And meet you exactly where you're at, whether you're just starting, whether you're super advanced, whatever industry you're in, whether it's B2B sales, B2C sales, door-to-door sales, right? B2G sales, regardless of the sales industry, like you get to learn how humans think. There's a methodology that we've created that will help you learn how to sell so well in the industry. And in addition to us teaching you sales training, we're going to teach you how to heal all the stuff that's not working inside of you and heal the trauma and work through the stuff so you can feel confident, so you can feel powerful, so that you can feel 100% certain on a sales call. So this person looks to you as the expert and you're unwilling to buy whatever story is holding them back. Sales is super easy. It's super simple when you have the right skills, when you really commit to transformation and becoming all that you can be. And if you're listening to this right now and you're playing small, or you've been a guesser, or you've been a wannabe, or you've been a know-it-all, and you're like, you know what, I'm freaking done with my story. I'm done holding myself back, right? I want you to comment on this post, on this video. I want you to comment. I want you to DM me, or you can text me 323-498-2439. 323-498-2439. Text us right now. Text me my name and tell us your name and what industry you're in and why you are so committed to transformation. What's going on? Like, we have so many free resources, so much training that we can give you. If you want to actually really commit to transformation and become all that you can be, like, we can train you to become so good. I've trained hundreds of women in so many different industries, and I'm sick and tired of women feeling inadequate or feeling like they're not making the money that they want, or they feel sad, or they're not having a good home life, or whatever's going on in your world. Like, I want to hear your story. I want to support you, but you got to be willing to ask. Ask for the support, ask for the help, and we'll be willing to meet you halfway. Anyways, I honor you. Please send this to another woman that needs this. Stop the toxic traits, the toxic habits that are causing objections to happen in your sales calls. You don't have to do that. Sales gets to be easy. It gets to feel good. So good. And there's so much that I want to teach you, but you have to be willing to go all in on yourself and make it happen. I honor you. I'll see you in the next episode.